Hey, it's Joe B, and I'm here with the Mach 1 again. Been a little while since I had a video, but I wanted to really get focused on this, because if I never do anything, I'm never going to get it done. I know that sounds a little obvious, but it's harder when you actually have to say it and admit it. So I'm out here, just trying to get it done. What I want to do today is I want to record the removal of the driver's side quarter window molding, and get this whole window area, including the weather stripping right up here, and get this whole weather strip area removed so that I can prep the thing and get this side of the window ready for paint. So first thing I'm going to do, and I wanted to record this so that I could go back and remember which screws went to where. First thing I'm going to do is remove these guys, which are 7/16, and then I'm also going to unscrew these two Phillips screws from the quarter latch area, and I'm also going to remove this screw right up here, this guy, and take out these three pieces. Looks like there's actually a screw missing. So when I put these back together, I'm going to have to get new screws that actually fit, because some of the bolts that were used here were the wrong ones. So let's put the camera right here and proceed with those steps. 7/16 for those first bolts. Everything is mounted around, it starts around this quarter window. You remove the quarter window first, it gives you access to some of the stuff to get this weather stripping out, when I had already done the passenger side. I got all the seats out, which makes it a little bit tougher. I got nowhere to sit. Okay, it's one. So those first two bolts are 7/16, and they seem to be supporting the base of the quarter window here. Right here, this big metal piece goes down into a bracket that screws right in with the 7/16. That's my first step. Now the whole window, the glass is loose. I'm still not able to pull it out yet because I have this little metal piece up here that had the Phillips screw on it. Looks like I've got to unscrew that. And for future reference, that's going to be two Phillips screws. There's only one in here, but the top of the piece with the glass is supposed to have two Phillips screws. Now that that's undone, can I remove this? No. Well, one thing is obvious is there's a Phillips screw right here at the bottom of the quarter glass in the frame of the driver's door. So I'll just unscrew this Phillips and see what happens. This is probably part of what's locking it in place. Yep, I unscrewed the Phillips and it loosened up. Now this is sliding down and off of the quarter window. There we go. And it was covered with some kind of little plastic sheath. Now that I've got that, I'm lifting and it's coming out. See that? So let me get the camera over here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Alright. These bolts are... So this bracket, see those two 7/16? Those lined up with these two holes right here, like so. And then this Phillips screw right here is the one that tightens this piece right here. See how it's got a cylindrical form there, and that causes tension to hold down the bottom piece of this quarter, which, as you can see, fits right into this area, this little hole area. So remember that, Joe, that's where it's going to go. Okay. Now after I undid this Phillips screw up here, this whole piece got loose. So the top of the quarter window right here was able to come out of it. So now, if I just lift the whole piece up, it's going to slide out. I'm going to keep that plastic piece. I don't know if that piece comes back or not, so I'll keep that. And the washing machine, of course, is my workstation. I suppose that happens everywhere. And now as it was in there, this piece slides right on here. That's the tension. Just easing the tension, baby. There we go. Okay. Just trying to keep those in all as complete as it can be. Now, I see 2 Phillips screws over here holding this, so I'm going to undo those by hand. Yeah, I'll bet it probably couldn't even fit the cordless in there. It's such a strange angle. So that's one. I might drop these, but if I do, I'll have to put the camera down so I can pick them back up. And I have to take this whole suite of screws and bolts over to Lowe's or Home Depot and just get some nice stainless ones, because these are slightly corroded and a little beat. Yeah, the tar was holding that in pretty well. Alright, so I don't want to forget where these 2 went, but I had 2 Phillips that were holding this bracket piece that went into these 2 holes right here. 1, 2, and yeah, I just dropped the other one. Okay, oh, there it is. Got it. I got it. Alright. Let's go back over here to the work table. We'll just set these on the glass. There, 1, 2. Alright. And there was one piece up here that I was concerned about. It looks like it had 2 Phillips screws in it. But, I don't know. Maybe they only screwed it in with 1 when they were doing their previous work on it, or what? I don't know. There's a bumblebee in here and he doesn't look so happy with me. No, he left. Okay. He's like, you did a good job, I'm out here. Alright, so pulling this Phillips screw out. I don't want to drop it. Alright, so I've got that. And now this piece is a bugger to get out. It really fits in there tight. But this is the piece that holds on. It's got the 2 here. So it just slides up into here and it locks in. And then the Phillips screws are here and here. So I gotta remember to have 2 of those. Alright, so let's go put this on the glass. Alright. So you can see what I'm doing here. I just want to screw this piece back in here so I remember what went where. It's always important to either mark your pieces, or if you can, keep the screws with where they had originally come from. That way, if you can at least remember where the pieces go, you don't have to worry about where the screws go with the pieces. So, now that we've got those 3 pieces out, let's go take another look back here and see if there's anything conspicuous that can be pulled out. You know what? The weather strip itself can be pulled now. Now, as you can see, it fits into this railing, and as I pull it out, all of these little screws here are exposed. These are the ones that hold this light aluminum piece to the window frame. Now, except for this bottom piece here. This bottom piece has a strength to it. There's like look here. There's metal inside it. So if I pull that, you're gonna see there's some screws here. And how do we access those screws? How do I do it on the last one? I mean, there's one screw here, and that's an obvious one, so let's just go ahead and hit that. That's this guy right here. Okay, so we're gonna undo this one at the very tip. Unscrew that. I'm gonna pull that piece out. So this light metal that's inside this stripping piece is part of what's holding it in. I don't know if there's anything else that's holding it down that much. You know what? There are bolts on the bottom. I'm remembering this from the last one. But, yeah. 1, 2. Okay. See this stud here? This stud is an example. I'm not sure if that is exactly it. But right about here, and here there are bolts here and here. There are bolts that shoot through, and you can have to access them from the back, which is all the way up under here. Now I can feel them when I put my hand back there. They feel, I don't know, 3/8. So let me put the camera down, because this is going to be a two-hand job in order to find it and use the, let's see, 3/8 or maybe 1/4. I don't know. I'm going to try the 1/4. 1/4 feels a little big for this. Let's just try the head itself on the bolt. Yeah, 1/4 is too small. So 1/4, what is that? I thought I had a 3/8 around here. This is great. Alright, talk about being unprepared. I swear I had a 3/8 and this is not working out right. You know what? Let me go to get a couple of metric smalls. A couple of small metric ones. This 1/4 is just too small. It's not it. So it's gonna be maybe, oh, you know what? Here we go. I got a 932. This 932 looks like it's about the right size. So let's try this 932. And we'll go from there. I have my little bumblebee friend here. And he's a little angry about being stuck in this car. The 932 is too small. So that's too small. They may have used metric on the threads that I don't know about. So what else we got here? The 7 looks too small. Looks about the same as the 932. I'm thinking like an 8 or a 9 millimeter could probably pull it. I'm gonna try this 8. It's an 8 millimeter metric, which is really weird. You know, here's a funny rule of thumb: is that on the 1970 Mustang there were no metric parts. Everything was standard. Shoot, this 8 millimeter feels too small too. What the heck? All right, I'm just gonna give in and try the 3/8 like I was talking about. Here it is. I'm almost certain it's going to be too big. All right. Yeah, that doesn't have the right fit. The 3/8 isn't fitting right. Okay. Oh boy. All right. So the 8 was too small. I guess we'll try the 9 millimeter. That's the one we need. 3/8 is too big. 8 was too small. 7 is too small. What is this, a 10? I found a 10, but I'm going to grab the 10 and the 9. I don't even know if you guys can hear me over there. I'm going to grab the 10 and the 9, if I can find a 9. This is a 5.5. What am I doing? Come on. It's another 8. I have like 3 8 millimeters, 3 7 millimeters, and I still haven't found it. Here it is. All right. So I got a 9 and a 10. This is why I should have done a video the first time when I pulled the passenger window. So the 9, yeah, the 9's perfect fit. Okay. So we're going to use a 9 millimeter to pull the 2 screws that are, the 2 bolts that are down here. And I've got a small ratchet, which is, feels like it's doing the trick. Yep, there it goes. Okay. And these are really rusted out. Well, I mean not rusted, but they're just covered with crud. And they're not bolts per se. They go on like bolts, but yeah. I may have to use like a screwdriver. Oh, hand torque. Hand is enough power to pull this. That's good. Well, that shows it's not rusted. This is actually a San Jose car, so there really wasn't much rust on it at all, which is nice. So now that I got these two out, let's put these back, and get to pulling this thing out. All right. So actually, what I was a little bit wrong there. Those two bolts were actually for this outer little aluminum frame piece. This nice, like, chromed out piece here. If I could just pop it. I know the other one's, like, it slid up into this a little bit. So now that it's unmolded and it's loose, it's all jiggly. It's all coming out. So I got 1, 2. Yeah, it's not altogether happy with me. Did I miss something? Did I miss something? This should be coming out of here. Alright. I'm gonna reach up under here and see if I can find, yeah. One. I got one more here. I got two more. Alright, so there were two. There was 1, 2 here for the metal piece, and there are still 1, 2 more right here for the actual metal piece that's in the weather stripping. So we're going to pull those and drop them right there. I'm going to grab the 9mm again, and I'm also going to grab a little extension and put it on there, and I'm going to get an extension bar. I'll use that almost like a screwdriver. So, I'll just put this extension bar right into here. Now it's like a screwdriver. And if I really need to, I can keep the wrench on here, but these things are not bolts per se. They're just very lightweight. They kind of ride on the threads. So I'm not going to need a lot of torque in order to get these off. Yeah. I mean, it was on there. It was on there, but I was able to kind of muscle it with my hand. This is actually an advantage because I'm left-handed, so sitting on this, in this position, I'm able to use my dominant hand in order to undo these very easily. There we go. Okay. Here's a fun fact: in the Walking Dead show, Abraham is left-handed. But you know what? Only a left-handed person would really notice that. Because whenever I mention it, everybody else is like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." Thanks for listening. Okay. So, pulling up this weather strip, it feels like is there something else going on here? Is there a screw or something? Just one more screw maybe? There is, yeah. I got it. So there's 3, okay? 1, 2, and there's a third one back here, right in the elbow, little bend of the window frame. We've got 3 of those, and as soon as I pull this out, I'm going to show these. We will very likely be reusing this hardware. Because even buying the new weather stripping, which I hope it has the metal piece in it. I don't see why it wouldn't. You get a metal strip kit, a weather strip kit. It should be complete. Oh, here's a funny. The one in the back in the elbow, even though it's a 9mm, it was actually a nut. It was a nut as opposed to the little ringer that was sitting there. I guess technically they're both nuts. Yeah, you know what? These are more nuts than the ones that were for the metal. Alright, so now that I got all 3, just give it a tug. Here it comes. The whole weather strip comes out. Pulls out of these little preset areas. It's actually coming out pretty nicely. Nicer than the one on the passenger side did. Maybe this one had previously been. Okay, back here with the removal of the weather stripping and prepping of the driver's side window area here. I just removed the weather strip piece from the little track in there, the metal track. and it had 3 bolts on the bottom in the elbow area, 1, 2, 3, and it also had a piece that was attached in here with 1 screw. I'm going to keep the weather strip itself, and I'm also going to keep the bolts. You know what, that's another tip, is that when you're doing any old car, always keep the old stuff. Just keep it if you got room, because you'll either need it to measure, to compare. You might need a little piece off of it, especially wiring harnesses and stuff. You never know what you'll need off that old piece. In the very least, just so you can take it to the auto store and you got anything that looks like this, and maybe they can find some comparable. So I'm going to keep everything I pull off that quarter window, the quarter itself, I'm going to keep in this bag. And then I'm going to label it driver's side quarter window. So, yeah, so stuff like this doesn't happen. So the 2 Phillips screws that go into the bracket that holds the switch that allows it to open the quarter window, and put that in there. The actual quarter window itself is small enough. I'm just going to slide that in there. Keep it from breaking. You never know, I might have to reuse this glass. And I do plan on getting a whole new set of glass for this. The whole new set with a fastback 70 glass it's like $1,200. I mean, that's a lot. So if you want to save a couple of bucks, you want to cut a couple of corners, you can always reuse glass. But I did want to get some nice aftermarket glass that didn't look cloudy. I'm going to put this bracket piece in there. These are the 2 7/16 bolts. I'm going to throw those in there. And one more thing that I'm looking at is trying to figure out how to remove this metal piece that was so easy to pull out on the passenger side. Is really giving me a headache on the driver's side. Now these another rule of thumb with these car restorations is you normally don't have to muscle something. Normally, under most situations, you don't have to muscle it, and if you do, you're probably doing it wrong or missing something. You know what? Before I start it with any muscle, I'm going to start pulling these Phillips screws out, and I'm going to do it with the cordless, because that's a lot of screws. There's probably, I don't know, 8 to 10 of them. But they're all at angles that I can get. Now these are the screws for the track that holds the weather stripping. The other tricky part about this track is the top side of it is coated with tar. Because in 1970 they didn't have silicone or any of the other new age fandangled tools. And by tools I mean caulks and other recently developed catalysts that you can use to bond these or keep them weatherproof. So they use tar in a lot of places on the car, especially near the floor pans, under the rear seat, some areas in the trunk. I've seen had a couple of pieces of tar on it, and mainly just for weatherproofing. So I'm pulling all these screws out now. I'm using the cordless to make it a quick job, so watching it doesn't take forever and doing it doesn't take forever. They're all just standard Phillips, but the screw themselves have quite a head on it so that it can hold this track in place. I think that's all of them. There was one that I could not reach with the cordless drill, and it was the one that had this little lip on it. It was kind of like a preliminary area for holding the weather stripping in place. I'll hit that one with the hand screw, and then we'll do a count. See exactly how many we got here, just so that I can remember this for future. All right, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So there were a dozen screws. A dozen screws holding that weather stripping in place. Small Phillips. They're also self-tapping. They have the preliminary for widening, clearing, and creating the hole. I'll drop those into the bag with glass. I've got my tool for removing the metal track itself. It's just a regular screwdriver. I could use a scraper, but I'm not going to be giving it so much strength that I will be denting any of the metal, so the screwdriver should be okay. Basically what I'm trying to do here is, now that the screws are out, I want to break the seal of the tar that is still bonding the metal to the car itself. Especially down here near the door. It's probably gotten in there pretty well. You know, you do this on a hot day in the sun, and this tar will just fall right off. Now, if you ever mess these pieces up, I know you can buy them new. They're not cheap, but then again, I mean, there aren't too many pieces on these cars that's cheap, per se. If I remember correctly, this piece you could pick up at like CJ Pony for 60 bucks? 50 or 60? So how much is it? Okay, so there it is. This little piece, the preliminary holding of the weather stripping came off in my hand. It's supposed to. Looks like it just slides on. So just a quick notation of where that goes and what it does. Because the piece went right up into here. Okay? Let's zoom out. Show exactly where that was. Just for future reference. Alright. It's mostly unsnapped. So I'm going to pull at it just a little bit. This piece has a lot of flex to it. A lot. But I also don't want to bend it because with that much flex it makes it difficult to bend back. So let's return to the screwdriver maneuvering again. Pop it in there. And this time I'm going to twist the screwdriver a little bit. Maybe I can help it to pull off of that tar. Now this tar was a big pain. Pulling it off of the passenger window, and I'm going to show you this here. The entire back side is just covered in tar. And it's ugly, it's disgusting, and the perfectionist in me really was trying to find a good way to clear this off. See that? Now I had tried a couple of things. I had tried doing it in the heat, scraping it with a scraper, of course, definitely. But what really ended up working well for me, was a product called Goof Off. You know, let's show that right now. I'm not really one for having product placement or something, but this was a huge time saver for me. I went to Harbor Freight and I got this stuff. And when you pour it out and it goes on cool and it evaporates fast like gasoline. You know, gasoline might have worked. But this stuff, it was expensive. It was $7 for this, and this was, you know, what is this? 16 ounces. But you pour this on and you wipe it, and it takes the tar right off. Hi, Jason, I'm making a video about the car. You still watching TV? You want some more food? Okay, I'll be right in. We're gonna have some. I think we're gonna have some pasta. Okay. And that's it. You got all the way around here now. The frame, car frame. So starting down here in the door frame, then all the way up. I'm gonna have to pull that out. It's just hanging there. I'm gonna have to pull that out, and when it comes time for paint, coming all the way up. This whole thing is clear, but it also has the tar on it. Now I'm going to use a grinder and a brush, just clean this whole area up. And look at this. This is a Phillips. This is a Phillips. Yeah. So I can take this piece. I think I could take this piece off. Yeah. With a Phillips screwdriver and then pull this metal piece. And that's what I was talking about not muscling it. Alright, so I'm going to pull that piece and then we're going to be all good to go. This is Joe B with the Mach 1.